notes and information. He was gonna contact his sound division and
I know.
get back, and that's where he left it. He told me he'd have me something for the next meeting.
Okay, the next workshop
Next
or?
meeting.
No, the next,
So it would be
I think
next.
next Tuesday, yeah.
Okay.
Wednesday, I'm sorry.
Can we table this and hold it just till next?
Whatever you guys want to do,
Let's do that.
that's fine.
What's going on with the sound? What's the-
Well, we wrapped the silencers and it quieted down a little, but it has a pitch that a dog will howl at, okay? So a dog can really hear it worse than a human. And I stood on the neighbor's porch over here, and you can hear it. It does wind up and on her deck in the back. If you get further away, you can't hear it. I went to Tom Reynolds and I was there. You could barely hear it a little bit there, but you could hear it. Tom said he couldn't, but I could hear it. No, I mean, my hearing's a lot better than his, but, so, we suggested, I got together with Tom, and I said, call Roger, tell him we want it completely silenced. Simple as that. So he contacted me, he come out, and he's gonna see what he can do to silence it completely. Don't want no noise out of it. So that's where we're at. Okay? So we've been holding his money, and I suggest we just wait to see once what he comes up with on the next meeting. Any questions on it? Okay.
Okay. Talked to Bob earlier this afternoon. I guess I gave you guys, the board, copies of the results of the surveys. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Bob, or?
Yeah, basically, we had our survey and then we had the interference with the homeowners association survey. So we got their tabulations. Crystal took them and backed out the duplicates on both the A's and the Nays. So I believe the report in front of you has 62% for the speed bumps and 38% against it, with a total of 107 that actually voted out of the 243. So here again, we're asking the board to decide what you want to do as far as putting them in or not, or where
So
we
what were
stand.
those percentages again?
62% yes, 38% no, total of 107 votes out of 243.
With the duplicates taken out?
Duplicates taken out.
Okay.
So it's really 30% yes and 50%.
I know, I see. Thanks, Terry.
I was wondering why you.
There it is. Is there any pattern here between the no's and the yeses in terms of where people live? I mean, did you see this, Carol?
I saw the email passed by the.
Because it looks like all the no's are in one, I mean, is it in one area and then the yeses are kind of clumped in and, I don't know, is it geographic or is it just?
I don't think it was even looked at as far as that.
I mean, I could look at that for you if you'd like for the next
What does
meeting.
that look like to you?
You know, I could just, I could very quickly put these addresses onto a map. And
Okay,
get them to you
okay.
for the next meeting.
The point, can I ask Gail Gosser at Gerloff Road, do you know if they are rentals or are they
I have no idea.
directly to the homeowners?
I don't think there's no rentals over there.
Yeah, there's plenty of rentals over there.
Really?
Yeah.
All the letters went out to the owners.
Property owners,
The property
not
owners.
necessarily the residents.
Right.
So the
Renters-
the
renters
people
could
who
not
actually
vote.
live there couldn't vote.
Just property owners.
Yeah, if there's a renter in there, it did not go to them.
Well, how would a property owner who lives somewhere else make a good decision?
They're probably the 100 that didn't respond, or whatever.
Because they own a home in a community.
But they don't live there, so how can they provide a good opinion? I just don't understand that.
Well, we don't know if they're contacting the residents saying, hey, is this affecting you or not, or, you know, I think some of the current concern is too, when they first bought their homes, way back when, they decided that, you know, they didn't have restrictions then, they don't want restrictions now, so.
So Kevin, so the township only sent letters out to the homeowners, or didn't send it out to the residents? They didn't, I thought it went to the addresses.
Went to
No,
homeowners.
we sent them to the homeowners.
The property owner.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one time they lived there.
And so did the homeowners association went to the homeowners, not the residents. So if you are the owner and you're residing there, you got it, but if you were a resident, if you're a renter, then you did not get it.
I guess I'd say if I live in that home and I'm renting and I got 3 kids and they run in the street and I'm concerned about them, I don't want someone else making that decision for me, that's all, I didn't realize it didn't go to the residents. You're shaking your,
No, they wouldn't have any voting power. Why would they? They don't own it. They're not the property owner. Regardless if
I
they,
don't know how you.
unless they
how do you-
reside
How do
there,
you define voting power, I mean, if they live there?
because they don't own it. It's not their property.
But I think in my view,
They don't own it.
I say they have a right to decide about their quality of life because they live there.
I understand that, but they don't own it. That would be like me coming into your house and saying, I'd like you to change this. And I don't own your property. It's just simple.
Also, as a renter, you might not be there long-term, it could be
Right.
1 or 2 years, and then you
Right.
can.
Do you
be
see what I'm
moving on.
saying? I mean, how.
I understand where
you're coming from.
How does a
I do.
non-resident
I'm not
owner
objecting
make
against you, I'm
an
just
opinion?
saying-
Yeah, no, I understand.
Legality of
Either
it.
way.
They don't have voting
But
power.
renters
Yeah.
could be, again, 1 year or 10 years in a property. so.
The owner has more stock,
Sure.
They have a vested interest.
right, they have a
Yes,
vested
there you go.
interest, the renter does not have a vested interest.
Well, I'm not gonna
I think we
find
need to
that.
make a decision on this, but I think it would be wise for Carol to map out, as
Just
Marla had
curious.
suggested, and then we can make that decision on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I mean, if all the yeses close by and all the nos, I mean, I don't know. Or vice versa, it would be interesting, there may not be any pattern, but if there is a pattern, that would be.
What do you think, Terry?
So we wanna spend a
I,
couple
I,
$100.
I would like to make a decision soon.
I do too.
On
I do
something
too.
here.
You guys
I
do
mean,
not
we-
need
we-
to
Like
keep
half an
waiting.
hour?
We agreed to say 2 speed bumps.
So,
Am I
Say
correct?
within an hour.
Yep.
Okay, fine.
I would like to make a decision here shortly, if we wanna hold it till next meeting, but
Yeah,
we
we'll do
will
it
make a
next meeting.
decision.
I mean, you can look and look and look, and you can always
Yeah.
find another reason to look here or look there, or
Well, it also, I mean, Crystal's not here today, but she said something about, what's the standard, 70% or 75%?
The traffic calming manual said 70%.
So,
You're really close. but
so I'm just,
It's close.
I mean, is this close enough?
well,
It's
how many
ultimately
people do you
more
get out to, what percentage of the township votes for a primary election?
I don't think that's relevant to this issue, but I'm just asking Carol, if, you know, according to the traffic calming manual, this is close enough.
Regardless, I think we do need to move forward, take action on this. I think that's only fair. The traffic calming committee did a lot of work moving this forward, but I think it is wise, just plot it out so we have an understanding, so we know what the residents, where there was some more affirmative and more negative thoughts on this. But I think we should take action on this by next Tuesday.
So we'll put this on Tuesday's, Wednesday's agenda.
Wednesday, thank you.
Okay, Kevin?
Okay. All right. Upcoming meetings under old business.
By email.
Next board meeting is November 7th. Planning Commission meets November 15th. And 2 other items I had under here, we still need to discuss the township building use and the environmental advisory committee.
Can we do the EAC first, because that might be simpler. Is that okay? Do the EAC first?
You do have some information in your packets. I guess Rachel had prepared that.
Do you have any comments on that one? for this?
It's pretty much all in there.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? I can do this.
I had asked Rachel, I also asked Kevin to provide some thoughts on some other municipalities, similar size, similar type of makeup as Lower Frederick Township. So I appreciate Rachel, and I know Kevin had at least looked it over. I don't know if there's some of his comments on here. I'm taking a look at it, and, you know, Terry and Marla can agree or disagree. Talmadge Township, I'll just read it. The EAC is a 7-member volunteer council appointed by the Board of Supervisors. They are responsible for undertaking such environmental tasks as requested by the board for the promotion and conservation of the natural and historic resources of the township, and for the protection and improvements to the quality of the environment within the township. The EAC meets on an as-needed basis. That was the first one that Rachel had put in her research that was provided to the supervisors, and I think that's comparable to what we're probably looking at here, but I would like to have Terry and Marla's feedback as well.
The only I mean, I like the mission statement because it's not too specific, and it gives us some leeway. The only question I'd have, I guess, for the two of you, is the town mention specifically mentions, in addition to natural, mentions historic resources. So do we wanna add that to the mission of the EAC, or limit it to?
Well, it says historic resources in Talmadge.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, are you suggesting we add that too, because that's kind of something different? Then,
Or take it out, you're saying?
well, I mean, it's not in the proposed mission statement, I'm just asking. I agree, I like the Talmadge mission statement, but it does also talk about, so I would take that to mean like historic buildings, which is a little out of the, I mean, they've decided to do that. Would you like to add?
To be honest,
that?
in my eye, I would just use what they have as a mission statement, as a mission statement. I mean, that's just my thought
The
process.
Talmadge one?
Correct. Or, I mean, and again, it could, I want your guys' opinion.
I guess my preference would be at this stage to exclude historic resources, and if we want to, because that just seems like too big a mission
Okay.
to me. It's really different. I'm not saying historic resources aren't important, but I'd like to understand what that means. Does that mean, like, if you have an historic, what do you think it means?
I mean, in the context of an EAC, I would look at it, if I was reading it, as maybe, you know, a wooded area that has more mature trees and, or some type of.
So you don't look at it like an historic building?
I mean,
I'm-
it's very vague.
That's why I asked, yeah.
If you wanna, when it says historic resources, I kinda look at it more as if there's something in the township that is related to our natural resources, but not necessarily a structure.
If I can make a further comment, and I apologize for
That's
interrupting you, Rachel. We talk about adding or taking out historic resources, but if you read the very first part of that sentence, it says they are responsible for undertaking such environmental tasks as requested by the board, et cetera, et cetera.
So that limits it to
Yeah.
environment.
It could be on an as-needed discussion.
Okay, so like you said, you're talking about if there's like a historic area, like an historic wood or something, that would fall in that, not an historic church.
I would think it would be like,
That's the clarification
I
I
don't know,
was looking
some
for.
landmark in your township that is more,
Rock formations.
yeah, rock formations or.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you for that
Or
clarification.
like that graveyard that's up in the one development, they kept.
I mean, yeah,
The hollow bush.
Yes.
And we also have the Kraus.
Yeah, we have the Kraus Cemetery up there at this middle school site as well.
So if like something like that was threatened by water or something else, then that would
Yeah.
be something to preserve.
Preserve,
Preserve, okay. So,
What's the name of it?
Under conflict.
yeah, I like it. I mean,
Ever finished up on it? Number of years ago.
I think it's, with that clarification, I think it says everything it needs to say. What do you-
All day.
It does.
Conservation of resources.
Tom, just a question, so, the ordinance Rachel already put forward, you had already reviewed it, is this something, if one of us makes a motion to move forward with an advertisement of an ordinance in addition to making this the proposed mission statement, would that suffice?
The mission statement should be added to the ordinance.
Okay.
And
Okay.
to make it clear that that's what we're creating. That's simple to do,
Yeah.
and the ordinance hasn't been advertised or anything.
Correct.
My name is Gail Gosser, Gerloff Road. I think that idea of as needed is a little bit vague. I would suggest that perhaps that it's connected to an existing board, like the Parks Board, perhaps, and that it meets on several times a year, but on an as-needed basis sounds sort of vague and could never, ever meet.
Or maybe quarterly like the
Quarterly,
ASA.
yeah.
Quarterly like the
At
ASA
least
does.
Decide how often they need to meet.
Or the
Just delete it.
Yeah, what if we just delete that sentence and let them decide how often they need to meet?
Yeah, that would be something that I would think.
We don't even need it, it doesn't add anything.
Well, you could set it up quarterly, like the ASA, okay, start right there. And then still, you could still meet no matter what, and still have it.
At least quarterly, and
Well, that's
maybe
exactly
the
right.
wording.
the discretion of the
I
supervisor.
think we need to delete that final
Meeting too
sentence
little or
and,
too frequently.
and it'll meet when, I mean, it will meet when it needs to, but I think that sentence adds nothing, so let's just delete it.
So we're deleting that final sentence.
Yeah, we don't need to even say that, they'll meet when it needs to.
That's what makes elements of-
Correct, yes.
Yes, and we, yeah,
I move that we advertise an ordinance for the creation of an EAC and adopting the ordinance to reflect Talminson's mission statement excluding the last sentence.
I second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have an EAC?
Can I
Yeah.
propose a second resolution? Tom, can we appoint a chair? Approved.
Well, I think you would just wait till this ordinance is
Okay,
in place.
Alrighty. how long does that take?
But
Like a month, 2 months?
it'll be either the next work session or in the beginning of December,
Okay.
whichever you think it would.
Alright.
Just on Marla's comment, I actually think, and this is, we can disagree, but I think it's important that anybody that has interest in applying should hand their letter of interest, letter of intent to Kevin, and then Kevin can disperse that to the Board of Supervisors, which allows us the opportunity to learn more about why said person has an interest in that respective council.
And I would add in addition to interest, because of the specific nature of this council, what your background, experience, education, skills,
I agree.
Yes.
relevant to this topic, because this is a very specific kind of a council. I would say it require some kind of background or experience in this
Agreed.
area.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Next
Do we
is,
have that- do we have that in the packet?
which one, township building use? What?
The building use?
Yes, should be.
Where is it?
Should be.
Oh, there it is, okay, it's at the back of Where are we on this, Tom?
Well, I think our office has reviewed it and put some input into it and added some liability phrasing to the application for use of the township building. I don't know
Is that in here?
if that's in the one you have or not.
Has everyone seen
The application
it?
itself,
Yes.
Have we-
it's not part of this.
I
Okay.
hate to delay this again, because we've been talking about this a long time, but can we have a chance to look at the application?
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
And then, is it
We
okay?
sent it over.
Is it okay to-
I think we should delay it frankly because, we open up a building use policy before the election. I think it's wise to wait until after the election, and that gives us the opportunity to discuss this after the election.
So if you can get us a copy of the application form that has the
Absolutely.
liability.
Yeah, I'll get that out to you
on it.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Table that one. Under new business, we were going to talk about solicitor.
So we put a request for proposal for a solicitor for the township. We received numerous proposals, and we conducted some interviews. And now we're gonna have a discussion about who we all agree on.
You have someone in mind?
Well, we have, do you have someone in mind?
There's 4 or 5, I guess we looked
Yeah.
at, so.
So maybe I'll just start that by saying, for me personally, what was important to me. One of them was to have a full-service firm, so one firm that could do all of our work. We're a small township, things get expensive. I feel it's more efficient to have a firm that within it can provide all of our legal services. The other thing that was important to me personally was a firm that had limited to no connections with developers, and that had deep and broad experience in municipal law.
I think we had a few individuals, including Mr. Keenan, that stood out more so than the rest. I think it's a hard choice for the township to make.
A lot of them were good. They were all good, really. It's just picking one that everybody's gonna want. So. Does anybody have a suggestion on one? You got one?
You're all looking at me.
Well, you got one, Chuck?
I'm gonna let you guys, I've done a lot of talking
So-
so far today, so I'll let you guys go.
So again, I mean, one of the firms we spoke to, I felt met all the conditions I was looking at, and in addition, was willing to reduce the total cost by not charging for transportation fees, and there's only one firm that was willing to do that. So I felt they were receptive to negotiation with us, so I'm gonna put them forward.
What was the name? Which
It
one?
was that Kilkenny Law.
Thank you.
Okay. I had looked at them, and I thought that the Garber would be a good one.
Wolf Baldwin.
The name of that again?
Wolf Baldwin.
Thank you. I just wanna make sure everybody is hearing this.
Yes, I would agree with you. I think that's also a good choice.
I'll speak now. So my three were Tom Keenan's firm, Wolf Baldwin, and Kilkenny as well. If we're looking to echo Marla's comments, if we're looking to do everything in-house, could consider Wolf Baldwin.
Someone wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
You go with who?
Well, with whom? You have to mention the name of the firm.
Wolf Baldwin. I'm sorry about that.
Any questions?
I am gonna make a statement. So this is not a reflection to Tom Keenan. Tom Keenan has been a fantastic solicitor for the township, and he's gonna remain a fantastic individual in terms of the other municipalities that he works in. And I consider him a friend, and to really echo the goal here, the goal is to keep everything in-house in terms of one law firm. And we've seen today, based on some of the presentations that we've had, we are a township that's growing, and taking a look at legal counsel that could help us with that. And I think Chris Gerber's firm would be able to do that.
And I'd like to echo that, and I'd like to give Tom a round of applause for his long years of service.